Today is Tuesday, September 9, 2014. The time is 10 a.m. It's my pleasure to call the order State of Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance Board of Funeral Directors and Bombers. Mosley, will you now call the roll, please?
Robert Helms,
Present.
Wayne Hinkle,
Present.
David Neal,
Here.
W.T. Patterson, Jane Gray Sowell,
Here.
Robert Starkey,
Here.
Anita Taylor. Mr. President, we have 5 out of the 7. We have a quorum.
Thank you. We will now adopt the agenda. If you'll look at the agenda, folks.
Motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion from Mr. Hinkle, a second from Mr. Neal. Excuse me. The agenda is adopted. Next, we will approve the minutes, or ask you to review the minutes from the July 8th, 2014 board meeting.
Chairman, I move to adopt the minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Sow and a second from Mr. Helms. Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are adopted. We will not, on the list, we have a review the minutes from the August 12th board meeting. They are not yet available, so we'll bypass that. Next on our agenda is the legal report from Hillary Richardson, our Assistant General Counsel.
All right, this report is very short this month. So we'll start off with case number 1 is case number 2010007301. Complainant's brother passed away and complainant enlisted respondent for arrangements and services. He paid for the services in full before they were rendered. The next year, it came to light that one of respondent's funeral directors helped the deceased's estranged wife in committing fraud and securing funds from the State of Tennessee Claims Commission. The estranged wife submitted fraudulent documents to the Claims Commission showing that she paid for the funeral service. She submitted a contract showing this and a letter signed by one of respondent's funeral directors stating that she paid for the services. Based on these documents, the Claims Commission gave Ms. Spears reimbursement funds that should have been given to complainant. When complainant approached respondent about this, respondent denied any wrongdoing or responsibility and told complainant that the funeral director who signed the letter no longer works for them. Complainant is also very concerned about the respondent's privacy policy, as it somehow allowed access to his file in order to fraudulently change the contract. Complainant believes respondent conspired with the estranged wife and split the money fraudulently obtained. The response: this complaint stems from the bad actions of this estranged wife. The funeral establishment should not be held responsible. In any event, the funeral director who signed the letter has not been employed by respondent for some time. A funeral board investigator spoke with the funeral director who signed the letter. It appears that the funeral director's signature on the contract does not match other copies of his signature. The funeral director remembered the estranged wife approaching him. She told him that the state had funds for the children of the deceased, and she needed him to write a letter stating that the funeral bill was paid in full. He did this so her child could receive the money. He stated that he did not know who paid for the services, but he did confirm that the bill was paid in full. And there was an order from the Claims Commission in this case. The court found that the estranged wife falsified documents to obtain $24,000 from the court. $12,000 of this was dependency benefits for her, and $12,000 was for her daughter. The estranged wife did not qualify for dependency benefits, and she did not pay for the funeral. The estranged wife falsified the funeral contract, as it is clear that it is not the same contract the funeral home has on file and the one complainant signed. The court ordered the wife to pay restitution to complainant for the funeral costs and restitution for the court. So my recommendation is to close this case with a letter of warning, as this case stemmed from the fraudulent acts of a third party, and the money has been ordered to be reimbursed. Excuse me.
That's been done.
Based from my understanding, it has. And the order from the court says she has to pay restitution.
Motion to accept council's recommendation.
Second.
Have a motion from Mr. Hinkle, a second from Mr. Neal. Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That is the only case on my report, but I did have another request to bring to your attention. In some instances, it is more efficient to resolve complaints when the funeral board agrees to delegate its authority to hear cases to an administrative law judge sitting alone. For example, there are times when there is a complaint against an individual as a funeral director and against the same individual as a pre-need sales agent. In those cases, the funeral board cannot hear the matter regarding pre-need violations, since it's a commissioner-run program. So this case would result in 2 separate hearings. It would be infinitely more efficient to delegate authority to the ALJ sitting alone, so he or she could hear all the cases in one hearing instead of having 2 separate ones. This would also help limit the backlog of open cases because legal counsel could handle these cases outside of the regularly scheduled board meetings. So based on that and some cases that have come up similar to that with the pre-need and funeral board violations, I would ask if the board would be willing to approve a delegation of authority to an ALJ sitting alone in certain circumstances when the executive director and legal counsel determine that it would be more expedient to do so. Yes, I would.
Second.
Have a motion from Mr. Helms, a second from Mr. Hinkle. Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
That concludes my legal report.
Next to come before the board will be administrative matters with Robert Grable, Executive Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. 2 announcements regarding staff I want to make the board aware of. One is, starting next Monday, we'll have a replacement. Most of you will remember, or all of you will remember, Genesis Johnson, who formerly attended the board meeting, and she was promoted to another job here in the department. So we will replace her with a new employee next Monday, and probably at the next board meeting, Ms. Dupree Flory will be attending the board. She should be here next month. And I also wanted to make you aware that we're very proud to let you know that Lisa Mosby received a promotion in the last few weeks. In fact, it was effective this past September the 1st, I guess. And Ms. Mosby is now the regulatory board's administrative manager for our programs. So she'll be staying with us. It's not that she'll be leaving. We're just proud that she's gotten the promotion and that she'll continue to be with us. So I wanted to make you aware of those.
Congratulations. It's very well deserved.
I hope they gave you extra money on that, too.
As far as my administrative report, first is the licensee. The report of license is administratively approved by the executive director pursuant to the board's authority for the period of August 12 through September 8, 2014, and you have a list there before you regarding establishment and individuals. Closed establishment report for this board meeting. We've had 1 establishment reported closing since the last board meeting. That's McDonald Funeral Homes of Perry County, which was located at 212 East Main Street in Linden, Tennessee. Disciplinary action report. These is a report of consent orders administratively accepted and approved by the executive director pursuant to the board authority for the period of August the 1st through August 31st, 2014, and those are listed there for you as well. Complaint report. As of yesterday, September the 8th, there were 6 open complaints against funeral directors and/or embalmers, and 54 complaints open against establishments, for a total of 60 open complaints. There are 0 complaints open against apprentices. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Gribble.
Motion to accept the Mr. Gribble's administrative matters report.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Hinkle, a second from Mr. Helms and Ms. Sow. Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next will be your approval of license applications.
We have two zero individuals today, and we have 2 establishments. So if the representative for Cremation Center of Chattanooga, please come up and have a seat to your right there. This is Cremation Center of Chattanooga, located at 1345 Hickory Valley Road, Suite B in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's a new establishment. It's an LLC owned by Hamilton Funeral Home LLC, 4506 Hickson Pike in Hickson, Tennessee. And representing them today is Mr. Josh Jennings. If you would, Mr. Jennings, just introduce yourself for the record and whatever opening comments you would like to make to the board members.
Thank you. Josh Jennings. I presently served as manager of Hamilton Funeral Home and president of the LLC. And recently we've changed that so that I can be the manager at Cremation Center, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Picture here of the cremation center or the funeral home?
That should be the Cremation Center if it's the photographs Mr. Luna submitted.
It is, Mr. Jennings, you might explain to them that there are probably multiple businesses in this
It
building.
is. It's a storefront establishment, like several facilities. It's already been approved by the board in the state. We share that building with the Chattanooga Scottish Rite. They own the building, and we're the only other occupant.
If you'll look at the last photo, and I know that we want to thank Ms. Mosby for figuring out how to put these photos on the iPad where they're in color, and you can tell more about them than what we've done previously since we've been using iPads. But if you go to the last photo, there's a restroom that you're looking directly at a restroom, and on the right is a door there that's a secured door that locks this office building and separates this building, this
That
part
is
of the
correct.
building from the rest,
That is correct.
according to what the field rep explained to me. It's a deadbolt lock on the door.
That indicates that facility, that bathroom is for your facility only.
That is correct.
Okay, it's not.
That is
not
correct.
sure.
It's 11,000 square foot facility. Scottish Rite business offices there. They also have an area where they conduct an annual installation of officers, and then the other 1,250 square feet is ours.
You met all the parking requirements and the things for that facility?
We have no formal chapel there, so as far as the city goes, we're not required. We do have 6 designated parking spaces at that facility.
Board members, if you want to look at the paperwork on this, it's under the approval of licensed establishment applications. If you want to look at the paperwork, the photos are in a separate location.
That's the reason I'm having trouble finding the paperwork.
Agendas where the paperwork is for that.
We did choose that location in particular because there's no traffic other than our clientele families. The Scottish Rite only has one individual who reports there annually, and then their one-time installation of officers.
Previously manager of Heritage
Hamilton Funeral Home, yes, ma'am.
Is this,
Yes, Hamilton Funeral Home LLC owns Hamilton Funeral Home and Cremation Services and the Cremation Center. of Chattanooga.
He sent his paperwork in to change the manager, and that's been officially changed in the office. He just doesn't have his new computer-generated certificates yet, but.
This is a storefront.
Storefront, yes, ma'am.
Mosley, if you'll so know that Ms. Taylor is now present.
There's your water and sewer letters. Received a special exemption permit from the city of Chattanooga on the zoning.
That is correct. We did that before leasing the property.
You can go back, that's just the pictures. That's it.
You have a visitation, do you move that to your funeral home? Or?
We do not offer visitation at that facility at all, nor do we offer visitation at Hamilton. We do offer, our
Got
staff's.
cremation packages here.
That is correct. If they want to have a visitation at other facilities, such as their church or some type, and they need the assistance of a funeral director, but we do not combine. We will operate those two establishments as two separate establishments. They will not coincide with one another whatsoever. Hamilton will not offer services through the cremation center. Cremation center will not offer any of Hamilton's services. They will have two separate, essentially two separate staffs. The plan is for me to be at cremation center, and then Mr. Mosier, who's the other owner at Hamilton, to stay at Hamilton.
What's the distance between the two facilities?
About 7 miles. Hamilton is located on the north end of the county. The cremation center is located on the east side of town, East Brainerd area.
Offer cremations through the other.
Absolutely. 50% of our business.
Say,
50%.
okay. I thought you said 15. I thought,
No.
okay.
Yeah, one could wish.
Yeah, congratulations.
Gribble, did you receive a copy of this special exemption permit in the files? I may have overlooked it. Was that part of the stuff that they filed? I'm assuming that this meets the parking requirements based on the letter in here.
Hinkle, I don't think we have an exact copy of the special permit. The letter from Randy Ridge, who is a sign and zoning inspector for the city of Chattanooga, referenced that in his letter, stating that funeral establishment is a permitted use in this zone, but requires a special exemptions permit from the Board of Zoning Appeals. And he just goes ahead to say that it was issued.
That's
but as
what
far
I'm
as-
reading, that
As far as having a copy of it,
you have a copy of it?
We do. I
Okay.
did not submit that to
Okay.
the board.
It wouldn't be any problem to submit that to Mr. Gribble, would it?
No.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion from Mr. Hinkle, a second from Mr. Neal. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Just no, please.
Oh, all right. So noted. All right, Mr. Gribble, the next.
the next establishment is Dusty Rose Mortuary LLC, located at 2310 Airport Interchange Avenue, number 5, Memphis, Tennessee. It's a new establishment. It's an LLC owned by Dusty Rose Mortuary LLC at the same address. Mr. Mike Hanson is here today to represent Dusty Rose Mortuary. If you will, Mr. Hanson, introduce yourself and make whatever opening statement you want to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Gribble. Good morning. My name is Mike Hanson. I'm president of Dusty Rose Cremations and Memorial Services, who you all approved back in May of this year. I'm here today seeking application or seeking licensure for Dusty Rose Mortuary, which is nothing more than the embalming facility for Dusty Rose Cremations and Memorial Services. There are two separate physical locations. That's why I had to seek two different licenses.
Courtroom area, what type of ventilation and air do you have there now?
A full, what you would call like a hotel-style air conditioning system plus an exhaust fan through the ceiling.
Certificate opposite.
A pocket.
Okay.
I think that was the thing that was the holdup last time, wasn't it?
Some of it. I really was not far enough along with construction. I realize at this point, I just was trying to save money at that time by outsourcing my embalming, but now I'll save a lot of money by doing it myself, so I've finished everything out. But that is what was rejected last time, the lack of this document.
Order?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Have a motion from Mr. Hinkle, a second from Ms. Taylor. Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
May I be recorded as no, please?
Okay, Ms. Sal is recorded as no.
I'm sorry. Could you give Mr. Gribble a copy of that?
Absolutely. I
Okay,
will.
so we put it in your file. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Branson, I don't know if you want to sit for the board meeting or not. You're welcome to stay, but if you need to leave, if you'll just go up to the fifth floor and see Tammy Harsh and just ask her to make a copy of that, she'll make it. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but should you need to leave, just go up to the fifth floor and she'll be glad to make a copy of that and keep it for us. And we'll get your license issued. It may be tomorrow, but we'll contact you by email, you and Mr. Jennings both, when we get the license issued.
All right. Next on the agenda will be the rulemaking hearing. We'll ask Ms. L. Richardson, our Assistant General Counsel, to please.
Miss Amanda Martin is our court reporter. Just let me know when you're ready and I'll begin. Ready? My name is Ellery. This rulemaking hearing is called to order. My name is Ellery Richardson, and I serve as the staff attorney in the Department of Commerce and Insurance Division of Regulatory Boards. Would the board and agency representatives who are present introduce themselves for the record? So I guess you just go around.
Robert Helms. David Neal.
Wayne Hinkle.
Bob Starkey.
Anita Taylor.
James Sowell.
Robert Gribble, Executive Director.
It is Tuesday, September 9th, 2014, and the time is around 10:29 a.m. This rulemaking hearing is taking place pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 4-5-204, in Conference Room 1B of the Davy Crockett Tower, 500 James Robertson Parkway, Nashville, Tennessee. The purpose of this rulemaking hearing is to solicit comments on proposed rules the Board of Funeral Directors and Embalmers has made public in order to implement the Removal Services Program authorized by Public Chapter 437 of the Public Acts of 2013. A rule is defined as an agency statement of general applicability that implements or prescribes law or policy or describes the procedures or practice requirements of the agency. Proposed rules are filed with the Office of the Secretary of State. Notice is given to the public for comment, and a rulemaking hearing is held. Upon conclusion of the hearing and adoption of the proposed rules, the rules are forwarded to the Attorney General's office for review of legality. If approved, they are filed with the Secretary of State, which is responsible for publication, and the Government Operations Committee of the General Assembly. These rules must stay in the Secretary of State's office for 90 days, the end of which time will be the effective date. Those members of the public wishing to speak should sign up at the table in front of the room. Only those who have signed will be permitted to speak.
If you wish to speak regarding the rulemaking, please sign at the circular table there. Well, it's been moved up to this table up here, if there's anyone in the audience who wishes to speak.
Notice of rulemaking hearing included the entire text of the proposed rules and was published in the July 2014 edition of the Tennessee Administrative Register. The notice was also published on the Secretary of State's website on July 14th, 2014. Mr. Robert Gribble, what additional notice was given to the affected individuals or groups?
On July 17, 2014, notice of this rulemaking hearing was posted on our board's website. The Department of Commerce and Insurance, using the Notify system, sent notices to all individuals that had registered previously indicating a desire to receive pertinent board information. And additionally, an email was sent to the representatives of both statewide funeral director associations, notifying them of this rulemaking hearing. The associations that the notifications were sent to are the Tennessee Funeral Director and Morticians Association and the Tennessee Funeral Directors Association. On September 4, 2014, the agenda for this meeting, which included this rulemaking hearing, was posted to our board's website, and an email was sent to representatives of the two previously mentioned statewide funeral director associations. And then additionally, on September 5, 2014, I have knowledge that the Tennessee Funeral Directors Association sent today's agenda to their members as well.
As the agency hears public comment on the proposed rules, I, as moderator, reserve the right to limit such comments if they become repetitive. So please limit your comments accordingly. And I will read the substance of the proposed rules into the record. Rule number 0660-03-.11, removal service fees. 1. An application for registration as a removal service shall be submitted on a form prescribed by the board and shall be accompanied by proof of liability insurance in the amount of $1 million and a non-refundable fee in the amount of $350. 2. The board may renew a certificate of registration, provided that an application for renewal, accompanied by proof of liability insurance in the amount of $1 million and a non-refundable fee in the amount of $250, is received by the board no later than the date of expiration. Rule 0660-12-.01, removal service. No removal service, as defined in Tennessee Code Annotated Title 62, Chapter 5, Part 1, shall operate in this state without first registering with the board as a removal service. 2. An application for registration as a removal service shall be submitted on a form prescribed by the board and shall be accompanied by a non-refundable fee as set by the board and proof of liability insurance and an amount set by the board. 3. The board may renew a certificate of registration, provided that an application for renewal, accompanied by a non-refundable fee set by the board and proof of liability insurance and an amount set by the board, is received by the board no later than the date of expiration. And those are the rules, and are there any comments?
One has signed the sheet to speak, so I assume that no one wishes to speak.
Right, if there are no public comments, then this will conclude the rulemaking hearing. The comment period has also concluded. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Is there any new business to come before the board? Any new business to come before the board? All right, I will receive a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion.
Second.
Have a motion from Mr. Neal and a second from Mr. Hinkle. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.